I'm Tony Scott with bnetTV. We are here at the Broadband World Forum in Amsterdam for 2012, and I am speaking with Mr. Duncan Bees from HGi. How are you today, sir?
I'm very fine, thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And for all the people out there in bnetTV land, why don't you give us a brief overview of what HGi is and what you're doing here at Broadband World Forum?
Sure. HGi is an industry forum that brings together service providers and vendors, and we're setting requirements on the home networks, home gateways, and more importantly the services in the home networks so that the service providers can deliver what they need and the vendors can understand the requirements of the service providers. We're really here to talk about new initiatives that we have for services and our test event that's happening this year.
So what sort of has transpired with HGi over the last 12 months from last year's Broadband World Forum compared to where we are now?
We've had a big increase in the focus on smart home services. So we started a smart home task force, which is bringing together many of the companies active in this area, and we're setting an architecture and requirements for services, APIs, device abstraction. So that's really been a big focus of our work in 2012.
There's been a lot of hot topics surrounding the connected home in the last 12 months. You can clearly see that in the next 12 months it's going to continue to be a vibrant topic within the ecosystem. IPv6 helping a lot of that. What are some of the news that's surrounding it that HGi has helped sort of be involved with?
Well, we're looking at several aspects. One is defining the services from the point of view of service providers, but also a platform so that they can take it to their application service provider partners and they cooperatively can deliver these services. And then we're also looking at the interfaces, which are really key for these services, how the connected devices talk to the home gateways or the application platforms, and also how the application platforms talk to the smart meters for the home energy management service and get that data. So those are some of the key areas that we're looking at.
I had a really great discussion earlier with Doug from JDSU, and we were talking about some of the deployment that they've got within the ecosystem now. That's all the jazz is happening at the edge. So the amount of information that's being collected by JDSU that they're allowing the outside community to get in on to be able to ascertain what some of the mechanisms of action or problems are at the edge. Does that flow back into the connected home in IPv6 with some of the regulations and standards that need to happen within smart grid because of the amount of information that pops back and forth and the lack of regulation that maybe, or policy that is involved?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, one of the key things is you have smart meter data, and now how can that be shared with applications and services? Yeah, exactly. And you can do it two ways. One, you could do a link but that requires, and it's very much dependent on the national jurisdictions, but that requires some sort of open standard. In some cases that exists, some cases that's coming, in some cases that's never going to come. So, and as an adjunct to that, you can also get data coming from the cloud, and that requires information to be shared, and there's various ways of doing that. But that's all, that sort of access to information is really key in that particular service for sure.
So, and there's also sort of a lot of policy and management tools that inevitably have to come into play, and policy being sort of at the top of the game because that enables security.
Right, security is key. Putting these services together end to end, security and diagnostics and management. So those are areas that company might be active in. That we're definitely forming it's definitely a piece of the puzzle that we're looking at.
I know the show's just started here, but what are some of the hot topics that you've seen surrounding this year's forum?
To be honest, I just arrived, but I expect that we'll see a lot of focus on the smart home. From our point of view, I think, just taking a quick view of the floor here, we've seen a lot of home gateways, a lot of set-top boxes. So the evolution of those boxes together, I'm sure that the companies that are active in HGi are here talking about their particular evolution of those boxes and how they're evolving.
What are some of the challenges that you think that HGi is going to help solve here within the next 12 months?
Well, we think that it's really important to help the service providers and the vendors to understand the requirements, moving beyond just a private procurement discussion. So we think that things like the test event, where we allow vendors to test their boxes against the requirements in a kind of an open way, and also they receive a logo that helps them identify what they've successfully passed. We think that helps them engage the service providers and helps the service providers as well pre-qualify their boxes.
So let's talk a bit about the event that you've got coming up here in London.
Right. In the UK, in Hull, England, actually, we have a test event coming up in November, December. So it's open to HGi member companies. They can bring in their boxes. They're audited by the service providers. The service providers send their staff. We have a test house, Track, which has done a great job in putting together test tools. They've made the test scripts available to the vendors. So it's a kind of a win-win. And they'll, by the end of December, they'll have collected all the information, and vendors can get the logos. They can share the information with the service providers. So that we're excited about that.
It sounds like a great event, and it sounds like a great way for not only your members but even the outside community to have a look at sort of what's going on in the certification, sort of pseudo-certification area. You know, if you're able to place a logo on something, it means it's past some sense of industry standard.
That's right. We started out with more of let's see what the industry is capable of. We're moving more and more to a compliance-based logo that actually helps the vendors get pre-qualified. So that it's not certification, and we're not certifying anything, but we're moving to a compliance-based logo. So that will definitely help the procurement dialogue, I think.
And finally, Duncan, for all of the people out there in bnetTV land who are interested in HGi and maybe even getting involved from a business standpoint, how do they do that? What do they have to do?
They have to join as members, and they can contact at homegatewayinitiative.org, and they'll provide the information. And beyond that, we also do liaise with different organizations. So even if you're not interested in joining as a member, there are different ways of interacting with HGi, but we'd love to have you as a member.
Fantastic. Duncan, thanks very much for taking the opportunity to speak with us here today at Broadband World Forum. I hope we get a chance for an update in the future.
Thanks a lot, Tony. I really appreciate it.
And finally, just a big shout out to Duncan's stepmom for helping me through a lot of times in high school.
Hi, Corinne.
I'm Tony Sklar here at Broadband World Forum in Amsterdam for 2012 with bnetTV.